single that has already been out, okay? And Frontline deals with pretty much, I mean, the way we think about it anyway, is that there's a new Frontline. And the new Frontline is social media. You know, there's all the Facebooks, the Twitters, all those kind of things that sort of connect people worldwide. And, you know, there's a lot going on in the world, which is, you know, people like President Trump have a very, very different way of thinking, maybe than previous presidents of the so-called free world. You know, we wanted to describe those kind of things as well. You know, that feeds into the whole kind of Black Lives Matter affair that is going on, particularly in America and where we live as well. But you know, there are other tracks which are lighter tracks. I mean, Daylight is basically, you know, sort of that wondrous moment when you first wake up.
Yeah.
And daylight comes, you know, it doesn't matter how bad things are in the world, but the sun always comes up the following day.
When we set out to write songs for an album, we always pick a subject and we try to get as many songs titles to that subject as possible.
Okay.
So it gives the punters something to
Okay.
Think about it. Is music to tickle the soles of the feet and the brain cells at the same time. We're part of the two-tone movement of the time, and that had a very definite, I suppose, agenda in some ways, which was to fight racism and also secondarily to sort of fight sexism. I mean, you find both of those things alive and well today, so there is no real reason why we shouldn't still be talking about that kind of stuff. But, you know, it wasn't just that. I mean, we had a lot of fun back then as well with all kinds of different material that we did. You know, we continue that. And also sound-wise, I mean, we now have horns in the band, which we didn't previously. It was kind of centered around a guitar sound, and that has evolved over time. And now we have tenor sax, and we have baritone sax as well, which has added a whole new dimension to the kind of soundscape that we actually have. I mean, the ska scene today, there's a lot of young bands around. I mean, we're listening to a young band at the moment here, that we can hear in the background. And we've just been in America, and we saw a great young band there called The Interrupters. She's someone I've admired over the years, yes. I mean, when I did that particular play, she didn't necessarily have the sort of visibility, I mean, you know, in the world that she now has in terms of how people view her. And it wasn't done from, you know, her being a tragic figure as such, even though she was a tragic figure. It was more celebratory of her than that. That it's, you know, role models for black women are few and far between. So if you find one that you relate to, then, you know, do your best with it. We've just come back from the US.
Ah, you just come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were out there supporting Rancid and Dropkick Murphys on their tour, which they were doing from Boston to Berkeley, and I think they had about 40 dates. So there were like 20 before us that I think Jake Byrne from Stiff Little Fingers did our slot, as it were, and on the other side of the country from Denver all the way up into Canada and down the west coast, we played with them.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, they were, you know, they've got ska history, as it were. You know, Tim Timon, I mean, he's got ska history, and he just enjoyed, I think, having us play with them. And we joined them on stage, you know, for a few shows sort of towards the end. So that was good.
No one seems to care.